After 2 years of movie releases hobbled by the pandemic, 2022 started to feel back to business as normal for Hollywood, with the past 12 months delivering a healthy slate of both big-budget tentpoles and more modest art house fare. And like any great year of movies, 2022 left film fans with a lot to chew over and think about, with the year's biggest films leaving dangling narrative threads and agonizingly unanswered questions. Nothing keeps a movie alive in the public consciousness like an ongoing mystery, and that these 10 films all certainly had, given that audiences walked away with at least one major burning question. In some cases, the unanswered question is an absolutely vital piece of the narrative puzzle that will most definitely be solved in a future sequel, while in others, it's almost certain the filmmakers will never directly address it, leaving viewers to form their own conclusion forevermore. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with What Culture, here with 10 unanswered questions from 2022's biggest movies. Before we get started, there will be major spoilers ahead, so this is your warning. And without further ado, number 10. Where did the mech hyena go during the final battle in Avatar: The Way of Water? There were a couple of nagging questions left hanging at the end of Avatar: The Way of Water, and while we'll surely learn about Kiri's father in a future film, we probably won't find out where the mech hyena clan went during the final battle. The unforgettable finale sees the Sullys take on Quaritch on the sinking, burning remnants of the whaling vessel commandeered by the RDA. And though the mech hyena helped Jake fight the RDA earlier on, they're nowhere to be seen once night falls. It's a sudden and jarring absence that the film never bothers to explain, presumably because James Cameron wanted to stage a more intimate final showdown and simply hoped that audiences would be so enthralled as to not notice the sudden disappearance of the mech hyena. If you want to be charitable to Cameron, you can say that the mech hyena felt their job was done once they wrecked the initial whaling fleet and saw that Soraya was safe. Number 9. Which country is the enemy in Top Gun Maverick? Much like the original Top Gun, Maverick purposefully obfuscates the national identity of the enemy rogue state, with no language, insignia, or other identifiers which would indicate a single country. Naturally then, fans were left curious about precisely which nation Maverick and co were up against, prompting numerous outlets to try and figure it out using the scant clues provided in the film itself. There's no conclusive answer, though a few obvious possibilities, namely Russia and China, whose military both operate 5th generation aircraft. The enemy aircraft are based on Russian Su-57 stealth fighters too, though both nations already have well-established nuclear arsenals, so the creation of a uranium enrichment plant wouldn't raise any more eyebrows than normal. North Korea and Iran are meanwhile both deemed rogue nations by the US, but lack the 5th gen aircraft seen in the film. Ultimately, Paramount didn't want to ruffle any geopolitical feathers or endanger their precious box office by naming the enemy, so in effect the antagonist can be whoever you want them to be. Number 8. How did T'Challa die in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever? Black Panther: Wakanda Forever opens with T'Challa dying off-screen of what's later described as an unspecified illness he largely kept secret from those outside of his inner circle, rather unexpectedly mirroring Chadwick Boseman's own untimely death. But what exactly was the cause of T'Challa's death? Now, there's a very clear reason why this wasn't answered. It's ultimately not that important, and lingering on the particulars of T'Challa's death could come off as tacky. But that doesn't magically make fan curiosity go away. The realistic answer is that T'Challa probably passed away from colon cancer just as Boseman himself did, though given the heightened world the MCU exists within and the specific nature of Shuri's attempts to cure him, it may simply be a condition that hasn't yet emerged in our own reality. Number 7. Where did Jean Jacket come from in Nope? Jordan Peele's Nope revolves around an alien creature nicknamed Jean Jacket, which hides in the clouds near the Hayward family ranch and devours anything that looks directly at it. And though Peele gives us numerous clear glimpses at Jean Jacket's final form in the film's finale, we never learn much of anything about where the alien came from. One prominent theory is that Jean Jacket was less an alien than an ancient creature that's been residing on Earth for a considerable amount of time. Though given that Peele eventually confirmed that Nope also stood for not of planet Earth, that's seemingly not true. Furthermore, an interview with the film's visual effects team revealed that Peele envisioned Jean Jacket as coming from a planet that has conditions similar to Earth. Jean Jacket is from another planet then, but beyond that, the precise nature of its home is something fans will likely be left to speculate on forevermore. It begs an additional question though. Was Jean Jacket the only alien on Earth, or are others hiding in cloud formations around the globe? Number 6. What was Michael Myers doing for 4 years in Halloween Ends? Halloween Ends takes place 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills, where Michael Myers has vanished without a trace and is soon revealed to be living in a sewer. Even accepting that Michael was severely wounded at the end of Kills after fending off the Haddonfield mob, he still had strength enough to kill Laurie's daughter Karen, so what exactly has he been doing for 4 years? It's just hilarious to consider the possibility that Michael spent the better part of 4 years chilling out in Haddonfield's sewer system, while murdering any derelicts and homeless folk he comes across. Evidently, writer-director David Gordon Green knew there wasn't an easy, non-comical way to explain Michael's 4-year sabbatical, and so simply didn't bother. In an interview with Total Film, he effectively admitted as much, saying, "We don't really explain Michael's absence. It's like, I don't want to see where Jaws goes to sleep at night when I'm watching a shark movie. I want to see him when he pops up and he's got an appetite." Number 5. Is Wanda really dead in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness committed surprisingly hard to Scarlet Witch being an outright villain, enough that she seemingly perishes at the end after finally realizing the error of her ways. The last time we see Wanda, she uses her abilities to bring down Mount Wundagore, in turn destroying all copies of the corrupting Darkhold throughout the multiverse, and seemingly being crushed to death in the process. But of course, the MCU being what it is, there's always the potential for characters to come back from the dead, especially if you don't see their lifeless corpse outright. So does Multiverse of Madness mark the end of Elizabeth Olsen's MCU tenure, or will she be back for more in the future? Olsen has since stated that she's open to return but doesn't know anything, while producer Kevin Feige coyly pointed out that there was a noticeable red flash as the Wundagore Tower collapsed, perhaps suggesting that she magicked herself away at the very last second. Number 4. What was behind the restaurant's silver door in the menu? While the menu more or less unfurls all of its big mysteries by film's end, there is one outstanding enigma that remains unresolved. Early in the film, Margot comes across a silver door in Chef Julien Slowik's lavish restaurant, at which point she's stopped by head chef Elsa, who informs her that something very special is behind the door. Later in the movie, we see that Julien's home is effectively a replica of his restaurant, complete with another silver door. And while the silver door in his home leads to a shrine-like room of his accomplishments as a chef, it wouldn't make much sense for the silver room in the restaurant to contain the exact same contents. Was there something more nefarious going on in there, or was it merely a banal mystery intended to put the viewer on edge? Well, we'll probably never know. Number 3. Who killed Thomas and Martha Wayne in The Batman? Throughout The Batman, Bruce Wayne is haunted by the spectre of his parents' death, especially once Alfred reveals his belief that they were murdered by Carmine Falcone, after Thomas Wayne attempted to go to the police once Falcone murdered a journalist on his behalf. Ultimately, Alfred's suspicions are never concretely confirmed, and Falcone is killed by the Riddler before film's end, leaving the precise nature of the Waynes' deaths up in the air. While it's certainly highly probable that Falcone, a man clearly not averse to committing murder to save his own hide, killed the Waynes, it's also possible they were simply off in a random botched robbery, as is the traditional nature of their demise. And then there are other candidates like Sal Maroni, or perhaps even another villain who might be introduced in The Batman 2. It's entirely possible that we learn the killer's identity in the sequel, but it's also just as likely that it's never resolved. Number 2. Is Jane dead for good in Thor: Love and Thunder? Thor: Love and Thunder ends with Jane Foster, aka Mighty Thor, succumbing to her terminal cancer, before a post-credit scene shows her arriving at the gates of Valhalla, where she's met by Heimdall. The question remains then, is Jane stuck in Valhalla forevermore, or will she find a way to return to Earth and be reunited with Thor? This one really could go either way. On one hand, Love and Thunder felt very much like a victory lap for Natalie Portman after not really getting her due in the first 2 Thor movies. But at the same time, it wouldn't be surprising if Jane found a loophole to return to Earth in a future Thor sequel. After all, Mighty Thor has a ton of potential, and Portman absolutely crushed the role, so it would be a shame if it was a one and done for her, especially in a relatively so-so film. Number 1. How did the world react to the Mona Lisa's destruction in Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery? Glass Onion hilariously ends with Helen Brand avenging the death of her twin sister Andy by categorically ruining her murderer, billionaire tech douche Miles Bron. Helen uses Bron's alternate fuel, Clear, to not only burn his Glass Onion compound to the ground, but also destroy the Mona Lisa, which Bron had loaned from the Louvre for a brief period and housed within his mansion. By destroying the world's most famous painting, Helen not only proved the dangerousness of Clear, but also ensured Bron's name would reside in infamy forever forevermore as the man who destroyed the Mona Lisa. The film ends moments thereafter without ever showing the wider global reaction to the painting's destruction. Given that basically everyone on Earth knows the painting, it's fair to say that such an event would make global headlines and invite a spate of reactions. Beyond criminal proceedings surely being filed against Bron by the Louvre, there would likely be a mixture of amusement and horror at what went down, stirring up an intense debate about both the worth we place on art and the privileges afforded to the ultra-wealthy. Depressingly, it's also fair to assume that Bron destroying the Mona Lisa would end up getting far more press than his shady business practices or, him actually killing people. And that concludes our list. If you still have questions after watching a 2022 movie, then do let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.